Hola! So you're very welcome back to the channel. So we have a different suggestion for you guys. This one comes all the way from Espanol. So if this is your first time on the channel, do not forget to
like, subscribe, comment, share, hit that bell. And if you're back with us again, thank you.
So what are we reacting on today, Danielle?
So today, James, as we are taking a trip to Spain,
Spain.
We're going to be checking out the animated history of Spain. We might as well learn a bit before we get there.
Yeah, cling cling, history time. So, without further ado, we'll watch this together with you guys. Let's go!
Ah, Spain, a land marred by the scars of its past. A land almost synonymous with empire, having been under the yoke of so many foreign rulers that even they began to lose count. A land whose very own empire would stand the test of time and dramatically change the course of Mesoamerican history, and yet somehow managed to avoid 2 world wars. All this and more in...
Was Spain not part of any world war?
I don't know. I thought they were.
I thought this was just an introduction. Oh, it is.
So, you probably heard that Spain was part of the Roman Empire, but before they arrived, the Iberian Peninsula already had several thriving civilizations, most of whom were thoroughly supplanted by Indo-European Celts, who had migrated south from France. Greeks and the Phoenicians had sailed these waters for centuries, setting up small trade cities and colonies. The Carthaginians, who were descendants of the Phoenicians themselves, set up a large trade empire between 650 and 300 BC, including parts of southern Spain, before coming into conflict with the Romans, who by the 3rd century were still a fledgling republic, just toying with the idea of conquering outside of Italy. This all changed with the Punic Wars, in which Rome came out on top with a slip victory over the Carthaginians' leader, Hannibal. The people of Roman Spain became thoroughly Romanized, a process accelerated by immigration from other parts of the empire. Roman law, religion, and the language became thoroughly entrenched into society and culture. Because, when in Rome, I guess. Hispania fell to various Germanic and nomadic invaders in the 5th century, competing for land and dominance. The Suevi, Vandals, and Alans carved out short-lived kingdoms for themselves before being completely overrun by the Visigoths. In 587, the Visigoth king Recared was converted from an Arian Christian to a Roman Catholic, with the rest of his kingdom soon to follow. The Visigoths fought for power and control in the region with the Byzantines, remnants of the old Roman Empire in the east, and also got pushed out of most of southern Gaul by the Franks. But they did manage to consolidate their hold on the whole of Iberia, save for the Basque region, by the year 624. But Visigoth Spain was soon to be facing a new enemy 4,000 kilometers away in Medina, where from 622 the birth of Islam began to spread through the conquest of Muhammad and the Rashidun Caliphate. The empire was further expanded into previously Byzantine holdings in Africa with remarkable efficiency and speed under the Umayyad dynasty. In 711, a Berber army crossed the Straits of Gibraltar and conquered the fractured Visigoths, slowly invading further north, halted only by their defeat by the Franks at the Battle of Tours and the Spaniards at the Battle of Covadonga. The Umayyad dynasty's collapse at the hands of the Abbasi allowed one Umayyad fugitive to claim the Spanish lands for himself, first as the Emirate and then the Caliphate of Cordoba, also called the al-andalus. It is around the 800s and 900s that a centuries-long process called the Reconquista began, in which Spanish Christians warred against the Muslims with the goal of driving them out of Spain. The Spaniards and the Portuguese saw the Muslims as outsiders, both in culture and religion, and very little integration happened between the two classes. The Reconquistas saw the Christian domains in the north increase in size and the southern Muslim kingdoms fracture into the Taifa state, until the Almohads united them again in the 12th century. The Almohads put what would be the last nail in Muslim Spain's coffin when they implemented a strict kill or convert decree throughout their domains, causing a mass exodus of Jews and Christians from Cordoba into the northern Christian kingdoms. A crusade was led against the Almohads from 1212 to 1250 by an alliance of Spanish kingdoms driving the Moors to a land known as the Granada. Castile and Aragon, two of the most powerful kingdoms in Hispaniola, united with the marriage of Ferdinand and Isabel to create the Kingdom of Spain, which also conquered the last remnant of Muslim Granada and the Basque Kingdom of Navarre. Around the same time, an Italian sailor was bumping around from country to country seeking sponsorship for a voyage to the East Indies. Finally, on meeting Isabel and Ferdinand, and after about 2 years of indecisiveness, King Ferdinand agreed to fund Columbus's voyage, in which he discovered the Americas. If by discovered you mean after Viking Leif Erikson and the people who already lived there. The Spanish Empire and the Americas.
Finally, a video that we watched said it wasn't Columbus that founded America first. People were already there and Vikings already took over and people were already travelling to it.
It was the Vikings first, and then we already know the Native Americans had already lived there. So it wasn't discovered, it already existed.
How much of the world that we don't know, and it's great that we can watch these videos because there's there's a lot of empires in there that I didn't even know about, did you?
No, I didn't know. A lot of them were fighting for the land of Spain. I hadn't a clue how many empires were in there. I thought Spain was just happy-go-lucky the whole time.
I didn't realise it was Roman there for a good bit of the time too, which is crazy.
And the Greeks.
Yeah.
Would change the world forever, at first propelling Spain to superpower status. But as soon would become evident, the discovery of new lands and the building of an empire wasn't enough to occupy the minds of the Spanish crown, and so turned their attention to religious hegemony. First decreeing the expulsion of Jews and soon followed by the Muslims, the so-called convert or expel laws in Spain laid the foundations of the Spanish Inquisition. Because nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition. This period of Spanish history is notoriously bloody, even by European standards. The Habsburgs had cemented their claim on Spain as soon as they could by marrying into the Spanish family. The Habsburgs ruled over large swaths of Europe in a concerted and somewhat neurotic attempt to keep inheritance within the family, and they were notorious for their high degree of inbreeding. Habsburg Spain was also a political failure, drowning in inflation from an influx of American raw materials. Constant warfare and piracy took its toll on the empire, which lost its early lead for dominance in Europe to France, Britain, and Russia. The Habsburgs lost their hold on Spain after the War of Spanish Succession, in which a French house, the House of Bourbon, took over the Spanish crown. During the Napoleonic Wars in the 19th century, the Spanish army found themselves ill-prepared, as they had funneled their entire war treasury into preparation for a naval engagement with Britain, its main economic rival. The Spanish army was so soundly defeated by Napoleon that in the end they amounted to nothing more than unorganized skirmishes and guerrilla warfare. Napoleon briefly had his brother crowned King of Spain, but with his defeat in 1813 the monarchy was restored, with rejection of the first Spanish constitution. This led to a turbulent time in Spain, with revolutions and counter-revolutions for the next half-century. In 1873 the monarchy was abolished and the First Spanish Republic founded. The Italian king they borrowed, famously abdicating while declaring the Spanish ungovernable. But with the Spanish-American War and the Cuban 10 Years' War, Spain became a shell of the empire it once was, losing all its holdings in America and the Philippines. With the outbreak of World War I, Spain declared neutrality and experienced an economic boom, stifled only by the Spanish flu and insurrections in Morocco. The instability and lack of centralized control would eventually lead to the Spanish Civil War, between competing factions of nationalists and Republicans who split the nation in two. The Civil War is a long and grueling topic that has such complex motives and ideologies, not unlike those happening in the rest of Europe in the 1900s. So complex, in fact, that it deserves its own video, which is why you should go to my friend over at Feature History who has made just that. Francisco Franco and his dictatorship, which presided over the Second World War, created what we now call nationalist Spain, an ideology not unlike fascist Italy and Nazi Germany, conceding, however, the official neutrality of Spain during the war. With his death in 1975, he decreed the restoration of the monarchy with full autocratic powers, but was marred in King Juan Carlos's decision to seek a constitutional monarchy for the kingdom. Spain joined the European Union in 1986, which helped stabilize the economy and industry in the new government. The boom in tourism and economic growth in Spain were unprecedented at one point, becoming Europe's fourth largest economy. This came to a grinding halt with the 2008 global recession, which saw a property bubble burst in Spain in particular, creating a devastating long-term economic hardship. Spain also currently has a few other issues on its plate, including a secessionist movement in Catalonia, a historically distinct culture region on the southeast, and the European migrant crisis beginning in 2015. But modern Spain is still a haven of tourism, with millions visiting each year, as well as an important political entity in Western Europe, working hard for industrial growth and slowly healing the wounds of its recent history. Thank you so
much. First off, very big shout out to the original content creator. Do make sure you check them out, give them a like, subscribe, and share all that good YouTube stuff. So that's a lot we did not know about Spain. We hadn't a clue about the amount of empires and the factions rolled into one. How many times did it come out of monarchy to monarchy to monarchy? And the Spanish Inquisition, that was a very bloody period, and there was a lot of Italian influence during that, but that's a whole different video entirely, like they said. But a very good period of history to check out. It's very cool. There you go. You even got Christopher Columbus, but as Danielle said, it was a nice touch to actually show the Vikings and the Native Americans with their force. We haven't really seen that in a history video before, so it's good to see that. What did you think of that, Danielle?
Spain definitely has a rich culture. Unfortunately, there's a lot of war that happen with it and a lot of takeovers, which isn't great. A lot of, loss of life and the country being destroyed and restored and destroyed and restored so many times. It's insane. So it's good to see now that it's on the up and up a little bit. Definitely have to look more into this because there was an awful lot of empires I had zero idea were even a thing, let alone they took over Spain. So it's mad. History around the world is just crazy, and like I said before, it's amazing that we can come onto YouTube and we can learn about things that we'd never learn about in school.
Because it did not nearly have this much history context in school and packed full of this. We did learn about Christopher Columbus, of course. That's about as much as we got out of the Spaniards in school. Yeah. That's why we're here now, because learning is fun. So let us know, guys, down in the comments down below, how much of this Spanish history did you already know? Have you ever visited Spain? What were your travels like? If you're anywhere in the globe, let us know. If there's anything that maybe something might be a bit off on the facts here, maybe you feel it should have been included, don't hesitate, let us know down in the comments down below and let us know what you think it is. And if you're from Spain yourself, did you learn any of this in school? And let us know what you did learn, what you didn't learn.
Absolutely, and we'll be talking to you guys very soon.
That's been our 2 cents, and we'll chop ourselves out this.